Hey, you guys. I'm
Hi,
Derrick. And this is,
Kendra.
and we're the Lovely Birds. So today we're going to talk about protecting our marriage, the sex edition.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I'll start off. One of the ways that I tried to, and one of the ways that I protected our future marriage was making sure that we just had boundaries in place, making sure like we weren't staying over each other's houses and like those type of things. Making sure, even I think even us doing the devotionals was a sense of like just like laying like a foundation like for our marriage, which was really really good. What else did I do?
You were a fortress.
What is a
He was a fortress, y'all. My bestie labeled you a fortress because she said you weren't letting anything in, literally nothing in. And I am a little temptress and I have a hard time. And so anytime I attempted to push a boundary, you cut it off. Which I appreciate now that we're married. At the time, I used to get irritated with you, but I appreciate it so much now that I think about it. And you,
what you used to get irritated with?
That you would say no, or that you would like put a boundary in. I'm like, I wanted, dip and dabble. Not that I wanted to have sex, but we tried to wait until we got married, or at least like the wedding or the day before, to have our first official kiss. And so we were doing like cheek kisses, and that's, as much as we gave each other. And that was hard, of course, But you talked about us like not spending the night at each other's house. And I know I used to travel to Lansing all the time from Indiana. And I used to stay at my friend's house. They took me in, God bless them, for letting me spend the night. But then that was also like an added level of accountability. Because I remember sometimes if it was late, he would be like, what time you come in or whatever, you know? So just having that accountability in somebody, people know where you are. And if it's late, you need to get your tail home. You don't need to be out and about. So
and even I think me getting a hotel when I came to Indiana, just to protect our marriage. It was something else I was going to say before that, but it'll come back to me, I guess.
I'm trying to think what other things. I think we did really try to keep focused on God. We kept him really central to everything that we did. I remember, I think you bought us the 5 Love Languages book. Did you? You did. Yeah. And then you also bought us, or maybe I did, because this sounds like something extra like I would do. It was that 31 Proverbs or something. That 31
that
devotional.
was really good. The prayers for a husband, prayers for a wife.
We had to write prayers for each other. It sounds like something I would have bought, right?
Yeah, extra. I think you did. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. And so that just kept us focused on, the bigger goal, and that we were headed towards marriage. But I am not going to lie, it was literally so hard. I remember like the closer we got to the wedding day, I was like, all right, let's just elope. It was so hard to like be with you during the day, and then at night I gotta say goodbye. Like that is so sad when you just want to like spend all the time you can together.
So I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say about the kissing. Because I knew that kissing will lead to other things. No, it does not. But I just knew that like, okay, if we started kissing, it would like lead to other things.
You want to like,
and I think it would have been hard for me to like once you like get something started and all of that, and then I think I knew that you would have lost respect for me if I had not like held some type of boundary, and I think I got that from other men that I had talked to. And I remember I would call him like maybe one of my mentors. And I was talking to him about, I think I just listened to the story of like him and his wife, and he was saying like one of the things that he loved was that, she was like a virtuous woman, and he wanted to respect that and how it like blessed their relationship, to where he knew that she wasn't going to be, busting it wide open, for him until like, they got married and stuff. So I think that was respectful. And then I think I listened honestly to the Lindsays, Cornelius and Heather. And I think I like heard their story and listened to like what they were saying and why they chose not to. And it just made sense.
I think especially for us, neither of us had sex before. I didn't need to test drive you to know what it was. I had faith in God that it was gonna be blessed, and it is. So, gosh, I had something on my mind too.
I think that's huge, though. When you said you just had to have faith.
Yes.
Because I remember having another conversation with a friend before we got married, and they were saying like how marriage, it really is like, it's a walk of faith, you know. And even like in my church, in high school, like there was like a singles ministry, and so they talked about different things, and you know, it's always the question about, well, if you don't, you know, how will you know what sex is going to be like if you don't try it out, if you don't test it out? And that's a whole part of faith, and that was a part of my prayer that you know, that it would be, you know, good.
Look at God answering your prayers. But I think, you know, and people have to realize, like, it may not be amazing at first, but that doesn't mean you can't learn
it was amazing
each other.
At first.
I'm just speaking for I'm speaking for other people that you may have to learn each other for it to get to that place. But I remember what I was going to say, and then I lost it. Oh, yes, about the respect thing. You are 100% right. Because let me tell you, I was like very firm. I wanted to wait until marriage to have sex. Like I knew absolutely. And I think in like the heat of the moment, not like we had passion moments, we were about to have sex, but when you're in a relationship, you love someone, you know you're getting married. It's not even like a if or you know when. We know we're getting married. Like you're the one for me. You do convince yourself in your mind, you're like, it's okay to test here. And I'm glad that in my weakness, because I was fleshly, that you would say, no, I needed that from you. And you're 100% right. If you would have let down your guard, which isn't really fair to you, but I'm grateful for you. If you would have let down your guard, I probably would have looked at you totally different. It just like gave me another level of trust in you, and I saw another level of strength in you. That one, I appreciated that you respected what I had wanted, but it was beautiful that it was something that you wanted too. I think it's hard when one of you wants to wait and the other doesn't, and you're only waiting because of them. I think that makes it a little difficult because the motivation behind it isn't quite fully there. But you didn't only just respect my desire, but you had the respect for yourself to say, no, I want to wait as well. And I appreciate that. And then it shows me that in times of temptation, you are able to put it aside. Like you're able to submit your flesh before God. And I appreciate that, because now that we're married, I'm like, I know that he's able to put his flesh before God. If he could wait with me, he's not about to be out there with another hussy, you know, trying to get some. You know, I don't know.
And I think back to what we were saying before, I think for any couples that are you are on that journey and you want to you know, just protect your relationship, you don't want to have sex before marriage, all of those different things, and you're nervous about what is sex going to be like, I think what's really important is, I think it's fun, the practice of it, just like you know, it's fun getting to learn each other, getting to know each other, all of that. And I think it's important to be able to like preface that, hey, we're going to have these conversations, we're going to be able to learn one another, so that like feelings aren't hurt, and so you can already be prepared for, we're going to have these conversations, you know. And I think sometimes it lessens the blow, because I think naturally you're going to have, sex is such a sensitive topic that you're going to have some reaction to, oh, well, I want you to do this more, or I want you to, you know, do it this way more, or I really enjoy. I think it's really important to have those conversations, and I think it deepens the relationship and the sex life.
Ooh. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Okay. Anyways, yes, talk about it. Even if you are not, like, if you're going into it as a virgin, still talk about it. There's a lot of things that I didn't quite know, and that's okay. Learn together. Ask questions. You should have trusted, like, married women that you can talk to. I know one piece of advice that I got that I thank God for was, you know, I like, make sure you're not taking everybody's first time experience, like taking on their fears, because if it was bad for them, you don't need to carry that with you. So being cautious in who you do talk about it with. But I do also, going back to accountability, I remember I had a friend who I was accountable to. She was engaged at the time too, and so we were kind of like each other's accountability partner, because you really get, I mean, like, seriously, it's like you're yearning. So it's nice to have somebody who all right, it's nice to have somebody who really gets it, and they're in it with you. That how hard it is to abstain from doing it when you want to. But realizing and being a little forgiving of yourself, that it's okay to want the person you're gonna get married to. Like, you're attracted to them, and it's only, you said, it's only natural. But it's hard. Lord, it is tough.
I had one conversation with one guy, and I appreciate what he gave me. And I feel like that conversation was really a lot of like what I needed. It kind of gave like all of the different things to prepare for. Of course, I didn't know everything going in just from that one conversation, but I think it was really good for stuff that I didn't know as as a virgin, never
Yes, and it's beautiful to have people. I remember, I think it was Roz sent me a book. It was like the Good Girl's Guide to Sex, which I recommend that book to everyone now. When they tell me they're getting married, I'm like, read it, because it gives advice to women who are virgins, women who may have had sex but you're holding out until you get married again, different stuff like that. And then I remember my cousins pulled me aside at the wedding to tell me something too, and so I think just not being fearful of having people speak to you about it. You need to know. I think the worst thing you can do is like, I mean, you can Google stuff, but just having those relationships where you can talk to other women about, what are some things that I might need to be aware of for myself, but also realizing that the weight can be tough, but also it can challenge you to like find intimacy in other ways. Which is really good, because if you think about it, when you get married, like, sex can't be your go-to all the time. There are times when you can't have sex, like when I had to wait after my procedure, or when you came home from COVID, it's like you just have to find other ways to connect. And so I feel like by us abstaining, we found other ways to connect with one another, and I feel like those have been able to carry into our marriage, which I appreciate. The versatility in our intimacy.
And I would say for the guys, definitely ask the men around you questions. Because men may not always like come out with it. They may not always openly talk about it, but I think if you ask, I think they would be willing to share. I'm thankful for my people who were willing to talk and to share. And I have to say, Minister Tristan, she didn't really give me like in-depth stuff like that, but just her conversations, like in just about every Sunday for a little bit, she was just giving insight just about marriage and like all of those different things, and I really appreciated that.
And I think you need to be in a place where you receive that kind of stuff. Don't think people are trying to get in your business, although some will, but really receive some of like the beautiful guidance and advice that you're going to get from people when you're preparing. And I just want to like remind you that sex is not bad. Okay, it's not dirty. Like, don't feel shame in having a desire for your man. Don't feel shame in wanting to, you may struggle, and you probably are going to struggle. And if you don't struggle, there may be some things to think about. I would hope you would struggle a little bit. But it's a beautiful thing. I'm really, really glad we did it. I am very grateful that we did it. I feel like I honored my little girl self, and as I was growing up, I honored, what I wanted, and it was beautiful to have somebody that had that same desire as well. So it wasn't even like something we had to decide on, when are we gonna have sex. It just we already knew, and I think it helped everything. It went down to like our morals aligned, I think.
And I think that's really sweet to hear you say, like, as a younger girl, because I think as a younger boy, I wasn't as involved in church, and I was just all over the place. But there was still a sense of like, I want to be respectful, like in my marriage. So once I did really gain a relationship with God, it definitely changed and shaped the way that I wanted to like do things, and how I wanted to honor God and like honor you in the relationship.
And aren't you so happy that you can look back and know that like you're not being compared to any other experiences that I've ever had. And I'm grateful to know I'm not being compared. I'm grateful that every first time has been with you. Trying everything for the first time has been with you. And going back to what you said, just have fun, like take the pressure off. Talk about it with each other. Laugh about it before you get married. I think we had some very candid conversations, and now we go back and, you know, I think in our head we're thinking, oh, it's going to go X, Y, Z, and now we laugh about it, and we're like, all right, we were just talking. We didn't really know. But I think just being able to laugh about it and get comfortable talking about it, because for somebody like us, where you go in as a virgin and having never seen each other's bodies, and then boom, the next day you're married and you're naked in front of each other. You want to talk about, because we were like up there, like kind of running to the bathroom and stuff, because we weren't comfortable like on our honeymoon, naked in front of each other. Yes, and so just getting comfortable with yourself.
And be patient.
And yes, because it is a huge transition to go from, like, even around you, I had to be conscious of what I'm wearing. You know, I can't just wear anything around you. I don't want to, you know, be a temptress to you. If we're trying to abstain, my job is not to be out here in booty shorts or, you know, whatever I wanted to wear in front of you. I just needed to be very cognizant of it. But that's about my little, what I did to prepare myself. So to prepare myself, I was like, ooh, I want to do, my sister had talked about it. I kind of stole her idea. She knows it, but anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, let me do a boudoir shoot for him before we get married. And I feel like that was like the first time because that wasn't like, not to say people are raised to look at themselves as sexy, but that wasn't something we like talked about. And so I think that getting those pictures back was like, okay, I look good. Like, this is really good. I'm excited for him to see. And I waited to our wedding day. That was your gift, was to, you know, see boom, what you were getting that night. But like me experiencing that was a way for me to kind of love on myself and see myself in a different light, and picking out my little like lingerie that I was gonna wear. And the photographer was so sweet, and she just loved, I made sure she knew our whole story, because she did our engagement, boudoir, and wedding. And so that's something I kind of did for me, but for you as well, just to make myself, like, pump myself up, prepare myself for somebody to see my body other than, you know, me.
And you remember how, Kendra sent me like, I knew that she was doing something, and she sent me like just a picture of like her shoe, and I was so mad.
It was my little red heel.
I mean, I was happy to see, but I'm like, okay, well, show me something else.
I wanted to give you, look, he's out of control, right? I wanted to give you a little preview, and so my foot was enough of a preview. That's what's coming. You got to see the real thing eventually. It's okay. But see, that was his weak moment, y'all. That was his weak moment. Okay, it's not just me. But anyway,
and it was closer. Well, it was closer.
It was like right before the wedding. I'm not doing that. I withheld my little boundary that I had. You were not being. I was being the fortress. Okay. In that moment, you didn't need to see all that. But now you can see it all you want. So you don't gotta worry about it. But yeah,
I think one thing our pastor said during one time he was talking to like just a group about marriage, and he was talking about how like sex is the glue to relationship. And I think that is true. Is usually once things go awry or go bad with like sex, or there it's not happening, other things, you know, and I think it's just such an intimate portion of marriage, intimate part of marriage. It's two people coming together and enjoying each other, you know, but it's something spiritual and just like special about it, that it has to be protected in a sense. You know, those conversations have to be had. We got to be doing it. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. It's so intimate though. When you think about like the act of sex, it is so intimate, and it is so beautiful. I'm just like, God, thank you for letting us have this here on earth. But I do agree. I think you can definitely tell when maybe it's like, okay, we haven't had sex in a couple of days. It's time, which isn't often.
And I think there's so much other things that go into like the physical intimacy.
Yeah.
I was watching a reel and it was showing how like the wife was wanting to have just like physical touch with her husband like throughout the day, and he would just be kind of like shrugging her off. And then it showed like once they got into the bedroom, that's when he wanted to be like affectionate or whatever. And she like, is she rolling over? She rolling over?
I don't want that. I get it. Although I don't care, I'll take it. But anyway.
No, you would be like, no.
I love sex. Anyway. But I think it does take more than just being in the bed and boom boom pow. It takes like kind of creating an atmosphere and also making sure both of you feel safe
and trust.
Yes, trust is the big thing. Because if you don't trust each other, nobody wants to be up under anybody.
And I feel like if I'm not like gentle and like respectful towards you and all of those different things, I think it does affect the sex relationship.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, you can't have in the mindset like this is something that I like necessarily deserve or you owe me. You're my wife or you're my husband. You have to do it with me. Like that mindset. I think when you realize that it is a gift and it is, I don't want to say it's like a privilege. Mm-hmm. It's a, what do you call something when it's like a benefit of being married. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily like you deserve it, you're gonna get it, but like think of it as like a benefit. It's like the cherry on top of marriage, like, ooh, yes, and remind yourself that it's something that you should work towards throughout the day, not just at night. Oh, it's time, getting in the bed thinking like you guys been cussing each other out and think, oh, it's time, let's just have sex. Like, no, we were just cussing, not that we cuss each other out, but you know what I mean, like. Just think some people might like that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they do. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not about to cuss my husband out. He doesn't cuss me out, thank God. But I'm just growing that intimacy, leading up to it, having those discussions, being candid, not being embarrassed to like talk about it before it happens. I remember one of the ladies from church. She would say her prayer was that that the marriage bed would be blessed, and for us. Praise the Lord. Good looking out. And it is just it's nice to be hearing it now. Because back then when she was saying the prayer, and speaking it, this was before we actually got married, I think. Yeah. So to be here now, like, okay. And living in those blessings. Yeah, I really understand it. Yeah. And for the couples that are watching, that are married or getting married, may the marriage bed be blessed. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. You better pray and speak that over people. I do pray. I pray that everybody experiences sex in its fullest. Yeah. I pray that everybody enjoys it to its fullest. I pray that people are open to understanding each other's bodies and that your ears and hearts and minds open to positions. No, well, yes, but to hear. Hi, open. You were supposed to leave. No, open to hearing what it is you want from that person, and not being like, I'm not about to try that. Being willing to risk it all in the marriage bed as long as the two of you agree. But I think it just takes so much preparation mentally, physically, and there are so many things you can do to hold yourself accountable while you're preparing to get married. But once you get there, my God, it is blessed and highly favored. And I'm grateful at the end of the day. I can say that we did it, and I'm grateful that we did it. And I feel like it was a good journey for the both of us, and I think it grew the anticipation and the excitement for the wedding night. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know. So well, guys, nope, we're gonna go. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.